Welcome to the Journey Shake Cam. Well, please do the 2 warm-up questions to the best of your ability, and we'll discuss it in a moment. Arsenic, what an interesting element. Well, we have a 10.75 gram sample. The size of the sample could differ, and therefore that is a physical extensive property. It was found to be steel gray, very brittle, semi-metallic. All of those are physical intensive properties. No matter how much of the arsenic that I have, those characteristics will always be the same, making it physical intensive. It has an atomic mass of 74.92. Well, that always stays the same no matter how much I have. I can look at any periodic chart and come up with that same number, and therefore that is also a physical intensive property. The atomic number is 33. That is a physical intensive property. It never changes no matter how much I have. It has a valence of 5, and that is a chemical property, because those are the valence electrons that are there for the element to bond to other elements. The only stable isotope is arsenic 75. That is a chemical property. It tells us that it's stable. That means it's not going to react very easily. That is a chemical property. Elemental arsenic is insoluble in water. Very important to understand that solubility is a physical intensive property. And the fact that it's insoluble, that it does not dissolve in water, is a physical intensive property. It has 3 solid forms: gray, black, and yellow. Well, there are always 3 forms, so that could be a physical intensive. Although sometimes maybe they find a new one, and then it could be physical extensive. So that one could be up for discussion. The gray form is the most common, with a melting point of 817 degrees Celsius at 28 atmospheres. Well, that's under very, very high pressure. 28 atmospheres is very, very high because we normally live at 1 atmosphere pressure. Well, that's a physical intensive property because no matter how much I have, it will melt at that temperature, at that pressure. It sublimes at 614 degrees Celsius. That is a physical intensive property. Sublimation is when the element goes directly from the solid to the vapor, or the solid to the gas, without going through the liquid phase. That's called sublimation. The gray form is when it's heated, it quickly oxidizes to arsenic oxide. Well, oxidation is a chemical property. It's forming a new substance. And it has a garlic odor. Now, this garlic odor, if we're just talking garlic odor, odor itself is a physical intensive property. But this odor is actually a result of the arsenic oxide. So it could be chemical on that part, but physical intensive about that compound. So we have to be careful of those things. I read an interesting thing. In the olden days, when they would mine this and they would hit the rocks with a hammer, they would smell the garlic. So many miners recognized right away that there was arsenic in there. Well, later on you'll see why they came across so much arsenic. Its compounds and arsenic are highly poisonous. Well, that's a chemical property. That's how it behaves in our bodies. It makes us sick, and it can even kill us. Well, we know that from mystery stories. Its compounds are used as pesticides, wood preservatives, and paint pigments, and in alloys. Each one of those is a chemical property. That's how it's used chemically. And we can use each one individually as a chemical property. In the U.S., drinking water contains an average of 2 micrograms per liter. Well, that's an amount. That is a physical extensive property. The permissible limit is 0.01 milligrams per meter cubed of air as determined by OSHA. Well, that's an amount, and therefore that would be a physical extensive property. And OSHA is the Occupational Safety and Hazard Administration. That's what those letters stand for. It's a regulatory body that looks at and makes sure that we're in safe working conditions. 1 ton of ore in a Swedish mine yielded 1 ounce of gold, 2 ounces of silver, 20 pounds of copper, and 180 pounds of arsenic. Well, that's a lot of arsenic to get just 1 ounce of gold. So you can see there's a lot of arsenic in some of these ores. And we have to be careful because it's highly poisonous. And therefore I answered number 1 and 2 as I went through the description. And you'll be able to go back to descriptions and pull out individual properties from there. Well, you have a safety quiz now, and I'm sure you'll do well. And I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Bye!